Have you ever wondered why some people seem to always have enough while others are constantly struggling? Is it luck? Is it circumstances? Is it that some people were just born under a fortunate star? I can tell you with absolute certainty that none of these are the answer. The answer lies in understanding and applying the rules of money. And today I'm going to share with you the 7 rules that can lead anyone, yes, anyone to financial freedom. Rule number 1, earn substantially more than you spend. Now this might sound obvious, but let me tell you, common sense isn't always common practice. Most people get this backward. They spend more than they earn and wonder why they're always in financial trouble. Let me share something with you that changed my perspective forever. There are only 2 ways to have more money: earn more or spend less. That's it. There's no magic formula, no secret strategy. But here's where most people make a mistake. They focus only on cutting expenses. They clip coupons, they shop sales, they deny themselves small pleasures. And while being mindful of expenses is important, and we'll talk about that, the real opportunity for wealth creation lies in increasing your income. You see, there's a limit to how much you can cut back. You can only reduce your expenses so far before you hit a wall. But there's virtually no ceiling on how much you can earn. Your earning potential is limited only by your imagination, skills, and willingness to provide value to others. So the first rule is this: focus on increasing your value to the marketplace. Become so valuable that the marketplace rewards you handsomely for your contributions. Ask yourself, how can I be worth more to the marketplace tomorrow than I am today? How can I serve more people, solve more problems, provide more value? You know, I started my career as a stock clerk making $57 a week. But I didn't stay there. I kept asking myself how I could become more valuable. I invested in my education, developed my skills, and continually looked for ways to provide more value. And as my value increased, so did my income. The key is to work harder on yourself than you do on your job. Because if you work hard on your job, you'll make a living. If you work hard on yourself, you can make a fortune. And here's something else to consider. Your income is directly proportional to the value you bring to the marketplace. If you want to earn more, become more valuable. It's that simple. But let me caution you about something. Don't fall into the trap of thinking that earning more means working more hours. That's the approach of the poor and middle class. The wealthy understand that it's not about working harder, it's about working smarter. It's about leveraging your time, your skills, and other people's resources to create value. So start focusing on increasing your value. Develop rare and valuable skills. Become an expert in your field. Learn to solve significant problems for others. The more value you create, the more wealth will flow to you. Rule number 2, spend like a poor person, invest like a rich person. Now, let's talk about how you handle the money you earn. This is where many people go wrong. They earn a good income but have nothing to show for it because they spend it all and often more through debt. Let me tell you a story. Early in my career, I met a janitor who had amassed a small fortune. He didn't earn a high income, but he was one of the wealthiest people I knew. How? He understood this second rule perfectly. He lived far below his means and invested the difference. Meanwhile, I knew doctors, lawyers, and executives who earned 6-figure incomes but were constantly in debt. They bought expensive homes, luxury cars, designer clothes, and took lavish vacations, all to impress people they didn't even like. The janitor, on the other hand, lived in a modest home, drove a reliable but unassuming car, bought quality but affordable clothes, and took enjoyable but reasonable vacations. And he invested the difference consistently over many years. You see, it's not what you earn that makes you wealthy, it's what you keep and how you invest it. The janitor understood that wealth is not determined by how much you spend, but by how much you save and invest. So here's the rule: live below your means. Take a portion of everything you earn and invest it for your future. Pay yourself first. Before you pay your rent, before you pay your bills, before you buy groceries, set aside a percentage of your income for investments. Start with 10%. If that seems impossible, start with 5% or even 1%. The percentage is less important than the habit. Over time, as your income grows, increase the percentage. Eventually, aim to save and invest at least 25% of your income. But don't just save your money, invest it. Make your money work for you. The poor work for money, the rich have money work for them. Understand the power of compound interest. Albert Einstein called it the 8th wonder of the world. He said, "He who understands it earns it, he who doesn't pays it." Let me illustrate. If you save $100 a month from the age of 25 to 65 and earn an average annual return of 10%, you'll have over $640,000 at retirement. But if you wait until you're 35 to start, you'll have only $226,000. That's a difference of over $400,000, and it's all because of compound interest. The earlier you start, the more time compound interest has to work its magic. So start today. Don't wait for a more convenient time or until you have more money. Start with what you have where you are. And remember, investing is not about timing the market, it's about time in the market. The most successful investors are those who start early, invest consistently, and stay invested for the long term. Rule number 3, master the art of delayed gratification. This rule is perhaps the most challenging for most people, but it's also one of the most important. In our society of instant gratification, few people are willing to delay pleasure for a greater future reward. But those who do are the ones who achieve financial freedom. Let me ask you a question. Would you rather have $1,000 today or $10,000 a year from now? Most people would choose $1,000 today, but those who understand the power of delayed gratification would wait for the $10,000. You see, wealthy people are willing to do things today that others won't do in order to have things tomorrow that others won't have. They're willing to live a few years of their life like most people won't, so they can spend the rest of their life like most people can't. This doesn't mean you have to live a life of deprivation. It simply means making conscious choices about what you value most. It's about distinguishing between needs and wants, between what's important and what's merely urgent. For example, do you need the latest smartphone, or can your current one serve you well for another year? Do you need to eat out 3 times a week, or can you cook more meals at home and save the difference? Do you need a new car every few years, or can you drive your current one a bit longer? These might seem like small decisions, but they add up over time. The money you save by delaying gratification can be invested and grown into a substantial sum. Let me share a personal example. When I was starting out, many of my colleagues were buying fancy cars and big houses. I chose to drive a used car and live in a modest apartment. I invested the difference in my education and in building my business. It wasn't always easy, especially when I saw my friends enjoying their new purchases. But over time, those investments paid off many times over. Now, I'm not saying you should never enjoy your money. Of course you should. Life is meant to be enjoyed. But the key is to enjoy the right things at the right time. Enjoy your money, but do it in a way that doesn't compromise your future. Here's a practical tip. Before making a significant purchase, ask yourself, is this taking me closer to or further from my financial goals? If it's taking you further, reconsider. If it's neutral or taking you closer, then it might be a reasonable purchase. Remember, financial freedom isn't about having everything you want right now. It's about having options and flexibility in the future. It's about being able to make choices based on what you want, not on what you need to survive. So, master the art of delayed gratification. Be willing to say no to say now so you can say yes to greater things in the future. Rule number 4, understand and harness the power of income streams. Now let's talk about one of the most powerful concepts in wealth creation, multiple streams of income. The average millionaire has 7 streams of income. The average working person has 1. This is not a coincidence. You see, relying on a single source of income is risky. If that source dries up, if you lose your job, if your business fails, if your industry undergoes a major disruption, your financial life can be devastated overnight. But if you have multiple streams of income, you're protected. If one stream dries up, you still have others flowing. This gives you security, flexibility, and a much greater capacity to build wealth. So what are these streams of income? They typically include earned income from a job or business, profit income from buying and selling, interest income from lending money, dividend income from owning shares in companies, rental income from owning property, royalty income from intellectual property, and capital gains from the appreciation of assets. Now, you don't need to have all 7 streams right away. Start with your earned income and gradually add others over time. The key is to start thinking beyond your paycheck. Let me give you an example from my own life. I started with earned income from my job. Then I added profit income by buying and selling products. Later, I added royalty income from my books and speaking engagements. Eventually, I added rental income from real estate and dividend income from investments in businesses. Each stream started small, but over time they grew, and more importantly, they began to create a flow of money that didn't depend on my direct time and effort. That's the key to financial freedom, having money flow to you whether you're working or not. Now, I want to emphasize something important here. Adding streams of income doesn't necessarily mean adding more work. It means adding more value and finding ways to be compensated for that value repeatedly. For instance, if you write a book, you put in the work once, but you can earn royalties for years or even decades. If you buy a piece of real estate, you do the work up front to acquire and set up the property, but you can earn rental income for as long as you own it. The goal is to move from active income, where you trade time for money, to passive income, where money flows to you regardless of how you spend your time. This doesn't happen overnight. It takes time, effort, and often some upfront investment. But it's one of the surest paths to financial freedom. So start thinking about how you can add new streams of income to your financial life. What skills, knowledge, or resources do you have that could generate income? How can you leverage your existing assets to create new flows of money? Remember, the goal isn't just to earn more. It's to create systems that generate wealth with or without your direct involvement. That's the power of multiple streams of income. Rule number 5, become financially literate. Now, this rule is absolutely crucial, yet it's often overlooked. Financial literacy is the ability to understand and effectively use various financial skills, including personal financial management, budgeting, and investing. It's the foundation upon which all financial success is built. Yet, shockingly, many people, even highly educated ones, are financially illiterate. They don't understand how money works. They don't know the difference between an asset and a liability. They don't understand the tax code or how different investments work. This lack of knowledge is costly. It leads to poor financial decisions, missed opportunities, and often financial struggle. So let me be very clear. If you want to achieve financial freedom, you must become financially literate. There's simply no way around it. Start by understanding the basics. Learn the language of money. Understand terms like assets, liabilities, cash flow, capital gains, dividends, and compound interest. These aren't just words, they're concepts that can make or break your financial future. Next, learn how different financial vehicles work. Understand the stock market, real estate, bonds, mutual funds, and other investment options. You don't need to become an expert in all of them, but you should understand the basics of each. Also, learn about the tax code. The tax code isn't just a set of rules, it's a set of incentives. The government uses taxes to encourage certain behaviors and discourage others. By understanding these incentives, you can legally and ethically reduce your tax burden and keep more of what you earn. Now, I'm not suggesting you need to become a financial advisor or an accountant, but you do need to understand enough to make informed decisions and to evaluate the advice you receive from professionals. And speaking of professionals, don't outsource your financial education to experts. Yes, it's important to have good advisors, but ultimately you are responsible for your financial life. No one cares about your money more than you do. I remember when I first started learning about finances, I was overwhelmed. There was so much to learn and I felt like I was starting from zero. But I committed to learning a little bit every day. I read books, I attended seminars, I listened to audio programs, and I talked to people who were financially successful. It didn't happen overnight, but gradually my financial knowledge grew, and as it did, my financial situation improved. The more I learned, the better decisions I made, and the better results I got. So here's my challenge to you. Commit to becoming financially literate. Read at least one book on finances every month. Listen to financial podcasts. Take courses on investing and financial planning. Talk to people who are financially successful. Make financial education a priority, because the more you learn, the more you earn. That's not just a catchy phrase. It's a fundamental truth about wealth. Rule number 6, build and guard your financial fortress. This rule is about protecting what you build. You see, it's not just about making money, it's about keeping it. It's about creating a financial fortress that can withstand the storms of life. First, you need to protect against the known risks. This includes things like illness, disability, premature death, lawsuits, and property damage. These are risks that we know exist and that we can protect against through insurance. Make sure you have adequate health insurance, disability insurance, life insurance, if others depend on your income, liability insurance, and property insurance. These are not expenses, they're investments in your financial security. I remember a successful businessman who thought he was saving money by skipping on insurance. Then he had a major health issue. The medical bills wiped out his savings and forced him to sell his business at a fraction of its value. What he saved in premiums cost him his fortune. Don't make that mistake. Protect yourself against the known risks. Next, protect against the unknown risks. This is about diversification. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Spread your investments across different asset classes, sectors, and geographies. I've seen too many people lose everything because they were overinvested in one area. They had all their money in real estate just before a market crash, or they had all their investments in their company's stock and the company went bankrupt, or they had all their wealth tied up in their business and the business failed. Diversification won't prevent losses, but it can limit them. It ensures that a failure in one area doesn't wipe out your entire financial life. Also, build an emergency fund. Life is unpredictable. Emergencies happen. Having cash on hand gives you options when crisis strikes. Aim to have enough to cover 3 to 6 months of living expenses. If your income is variable or you're self-employed, aim for even more. And finally, guard against what I call the enemies of wealth: debt, inflation, taxes, and your own emotions. Debt is a wealth killer. It's like a financial cancer that eats away at your financial health. Avoid consumer debt entirely. Use debt sparingly and strategically, primarily for assets that can generate income or appreciate in value. Inflation erodes purchasing power over time. Protect against it by investing in assets that have historically outpaced inflation, like stocks, real estate, and certain commodities. Taxes can significantly reduce your wealth if not managed properly. Understand the tax implications of your financial decisions and structure your finances to legally minimize your tax burden. And perhaps most importantly, guard against your own emotions. Fear, greed, impatience, these emotions can lead to disastrous financial decisions. Develop a sound financial plan and stick to it, regardless of market fluctuations or economic news. Building wealth is not just about reaching a certain number, it's about developing a certain mindset. It's about becoming the kind of person who can create wealth and keep it, and that requires building a financial fortress that can withstand whatever life throws at you. Rule number 7, give generously and create a legacy. Now we've come to the final rule, and in many ways it's the most important one. This rule is about giving back and creating a legacy that extends beyond your lifetime. You see, wealth isn't just about accumulation, it's about contribution. It's not just about having more, it's about becoming more. And one of the most profound ways to become more is to give more. Giving is not separate from wealth building, it's an integral part of it. When you give, you're not just helping others, you're also helping yourself. You're expanding your perspective, reinforcing your sense of abundance, and connecting with a purpose larger than yourself. I've known many wealthy people in my life, and I've observed something interesting. The happiest among them were not those who had the most, but those who gave the most. They understood that the joy of having is in the giving. Now, giving doesn't necessarily mean donating money, although that's certainly one form of giving. Giving can also mean sharing your time, your knowledge, your skills, or your connections. It's about using your resources, whatever they may be, to make a positive difference in the lives of others. I encourage you to make giving a regular part of your financial life. Set aside a portion of your income, say 10% specifically for giving. Do this before you spend on anything else, just as you do with saving and investing. Start with whatever percentage feels right for you. If 10% seems too much, start with 5% or even 1%. The specific amount is less important than the habit. Over time, as your income and wealth grow, you can increase the percentage. But giving is not just about the present, it's also about the future. It's about creating a legacy that continues to give long after you're gone. This might mean setting up a scholarship fund, creating a charitable foundation, or simply raising children who understand the value of money and the importance of giving back. It might mean building a business that continues to serve customers and provide jobs for generations. It might mean writing a book or creating art that continues to inspire and educate. Your legacy is about the impact you have on the world, not just while you're in it, but after you've left it. It's about the lives you've touched, the changes you've initiated, and the values you've exemplified. So I encourage you to think not just about accumulating wealth, but about using it to create a meaningful legacy. Ask yourself, what mark do I want to leave on the world? How do I want to be remembered? What values do I want to pass on to future generations? These are profound questions, and your answers to them will shape not just your financial decisions, but your entire life. They will give your wealth a purpose and a meaning that goes beyond mere accumulation. And here's the beautiful thing: when you focus on creating a meaningful legacy, you often end up achieving more than you would if you focus solely on accumulating wealth, because you're driven by something deeper and more enduring than the desire for more money. You're driven by the desire to make a difference. And in the end, that's what financial freedom is really about. It's not just about having enough money to do what you want. It's about having enough money to make the impact you were born to make. It's about having the resources to fulfill your purpose and live a life of meaning and contribution. Conclusion, the journey to financial freedom. Ladies and gentlemen, we've covered a lot of ground today. We've talked about earning substantially more than you spend, spending like a poor person and investing like a rich one, mastering delayed gratification, harnessing multiple streams of income, becoming financially literate, building a financial fortress, and creating a legacy through giving. These 7 rules form a roadmap to financial freedom. They're not complex, but they're not always easy to follow. They require discipline, patience, and a willingness to go against the grain of our consumption-oriented society. But let me tell you, the rewards are worth it. The rewards aren't just financial, although they certainly include financial abundance. The rewards also include peace of mind, freedom of choice, the ability to help others, and the satisfaction of living in alignment with your highest values. I want to leave you with this thought: financial freedom is not a destination, it's a journey. It's not something you achieve once and then forget about. It's a way of living, a set of habits, a mindset that you cultivate day by day, decision by decision. And it's available to anyone, yes, anyone who is willing to learn and apply these principles. It doesn't matter where you start, how much you earn, or how old you are. What matters is that you start. What matters is that you commit to these principles and begin applying them in your life today. You know, I often hear people say, I'll start saving when I earn more, or I'll start investing when the market is better, or I'll learn about finances when I have more time. But the best time to start is always now. The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is today. So, I encourage you, don't wait for the perfect time, because there isn't one. Don't wait until you have everything figured out, because you never will. Start where you are with what you have and learn as you go. And remember, the goal isn't perfection, it's progress. You don't need to implement all 7 rules perfectly from day one. Start with one rule, master it, then move on to the next. Over time, as these rules become habits, they'll transform not just your finances, but your entire life. Financial freedom isn't just about money, it's about living a life of purpose, meaning, and contribution. It's about having the resources to fulfill your potential and make the impact you were born to make. So let me ask you, what's your next step? Which of these rules will you start implementing today? Remember, knowledge isn't power, it's potential power. Knowledge applied is power. So take what you've learned today and apply it. Take action. Start your journey to financial freedom today. Thank you for your time and attention. It's been a pleasure sharing these principles with you. Now, go out there and create the wealth and the life you deserve. Your future is counting on the decisions you make today.